and welcome to Series 1, Episode 4 of the UK Cowboys TV show. I am your host, Lauren, and my co-host today is my son, Ruben. And I'm also luckily joined by the fabulous Rich, Brian, and Mike. Hi, guys. How's it all going?
Evening, all.
Super fantastic.
Yeah. Excellent. Yes, I'm glad we're all on the same sheet today. So we've got a very exciting interview with Bryan Broaddus coming up a bit later on in the show. So there's things we'll talk about in there so that we probably won't touch on now. So if you think we're missing something major, then just keep on listening and we will touch on it. So we're going to have a look back on last weekend's first preseason game against the 49ers. Anyone have any ravishing thoughts on it? Obviously, the Cowboys lost. We didn't see too much of the first team guys, but
yeah, I would say first things first is like you see a lot on social media about the consensus of how people feel, and the first thing I would say is don't panic. Like what they were doing is you could quite clearly see is they just wanted to put their players out in a vacuum, in a natural environment, and see what plays out. And I mean that's all it was about. They weren't trying to scheme. They weren't trying to, of course, they were trying to win the game. I was about to say not win the game. That's the wrong thing to say. They were just trying to see what it is that they've got. And like people are saying, oh, same old boring, play style. It's exactly the same as last year. They're not going to pull out the playbook here. And, it's almost like showing your hand too early in a game of poker. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, people, I said this to you before we started recording earlier, Mike. People need to be realistic, really, with it. They need, like you said, they need to be aware of what the game is and what the intent of it is going in. And realistically, I don't know what some people were expecting going into this. The people who are very much complaining of, it's the same old thing. There's the same problems in the end zone. Well, what were you realistically expecting? I mean, you don't have Zeke, you don't have Amari, you don't have Jason Witten. You don't have quite a lot of players. What did you really expect? Were you expecting like amazing scheme to be put on tape so you could show everyone what we're doing and playing everyone and going all guns out? No, that's not what this is. That's just get the starters out there, blow off some cobwebs, do it in the game environment. Okay, that's cool. Now second stringers go. Let's start evaluating some people. That's all it is. No one cares about the score. And if people are caring about the score in a preseason game, they've got a problem because their confidence is rock bottom. But that's another thing. But yeah, people just need to be mindful of what exactly it is and not panic. There's no reason for them to go and put tape out there of all this stuff that Kellen Moore is doing. And he is doing stuff, but the vast majority of it is going to be when they're back at the star and they're behind closed doors and people can't see it. And we're not going to know about it until we see it in the game. And that's the way it should be, because I don't want to see it before it happens in a game, because that means people can plan for it. And then
the Raiders won, didn't they? So, I mean, you can all rush out and put a bet on the Raiders in the Super Bowl because they won a preseason game.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. And like if we look at last year, we also went to Levi Stadium. We lost 24-21 and did the exact same thing. As the guys say, it's about trying out, blowing the cobwebs off.
Yeah.
Giving some guys on the bubble a chance to show what they can do, because we're very soon we're going to be cutting down to 75-man roster, and guys need to have a chance to prove that they can do it. So, Cal's not going to open the playbook yet. We don't want to see the playbook. First time I want to see the playbook is in the first game of the season.
Yep.
Yeah, totally with you.
I think probably one of the concerns amongst some people, I mean, I'm from the page, if you lose your starting quarterback, then your season's essentially over anyway. But obviously, the competition that we've got behind Dak, I think there was only really one clear winner on at the weekend between Rush and White. I didn't think too much of Mike White. I don't know if one of you want to pick up on that.
Well, I mean, just looking at the basic stats, I mean, when you look at Cooper Rush, he was 16 from 20. 140 yards, quarterback rating, where Mike White, right? The issue Mike White had was very much the same as Cooper Rush. Processing process the But also, he had a third string O-line out that was just getting absolutely torn to shreds, which was not good. But, he was very static in his movement, which is half of the issue, along with the processing speed. But, I mean, he was 9 from 20, so it's less than 50%, with 87 yards and a quarterback rating of 57. So, I mean, like you say about there being a clear difference. And bear in mind as well, the first play he came out and played, he got a sack and it fumbled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At least what you had with Cooper Rush was he held on to the ball. He didn't give it away.
Yeah.
And they both missed opportunities. I think Mike White more than Rush. I mean, and Mike White's come out today and said he didn't put it all out on the field like he should have done. He's better than what he put on tape the other night. And yes, I mean they were both let down to a degree by the wide receivers as well. But again, it's preseason. There were a lot of drop balls. There were balls on the numbers to John Vea and a couple of other guys. Didn't happen. They both missed wide open receivers. It just didn't happen. But this is the point. This is the time where you want to make mistakes. And I'm very happy. It's the one time I'm happy to see mistakes is in preseason, because I'd rather it happen now and them get it out of their system. And then if they do have to play, which touch wood they don't, but if they do, they know what to do and what not to do. But I'm very much with Rob Phillips from Talking Cowboys. I definitely want to see Mike White get some time with the second string line, because I think there is a very definite difference. Well, not even. I think there is a very distinct difference there. And that is the only thing, is you're evaluating these guys with other guys that also aren't as good. I get that it's, they tier things, the second string guys and the third string guys, but mix it up a bit. Put some of the third string guys in with the second string guys like you do in practice and see what you get. Because when they have done that in certain situations in practice, people have shown up.
Yeah.
I think another debate that can be had, and probably carrying on from the tail end of last year, is what's going on at kicker. I don't know if you want to pick up on that, Brian. Is it time to worry about Maya?
It's okay. We've the best kicker in the world in Jeff Heath. but on a serious note, yeah, I'm really starting to get worried about Mar. I think I just saw it yesterday that it's the first time he's kicked all 6 during yesterday's practice. And they range from 33 to 48, I think was the range. Yeah. So that's good to see. I want to see it going upward. But for me, the thing that got me excited yesterday was the Vikings traded for a kicker punter. So Dan Bailey could be available. Let's kick the tires on it. But if the fallback is there, we have Jeffy.
Well, I mean, here's one for you. I mean, as a kicker, it's about repetition and as well as confidence. As they say, 99% of a kicker's game is in the mind, right? So if he was to miss kicks that we know he has, like, how am I going to put this? Would you rather that he tries to find a form or a way to gather that form in his mind in preseason and in camp? So come the regular season, he's got it down. So, like, in terms of him missing during camp and during preseason, is that really an issue?
It would be for me. I mean, if you look at probably the best kickers in the world, like if we look at the other oval ball game, it's the repetition. Yeah. Being Irish, obviously, Ronan O'Gara was the kicker I'd be most familiar with. And reading his book, a lot of the time he was getting keywords from the guy who was bringing on his kicking tee, saying, concentrate on your C or your KICK. Just giving them, talking them through it. And that's what Brett's got to do. It's fix it now. It's too late to be trying to fix it in the middle of the season. Fix it now and get it done.
I mean, it was just something that I thought of earlier on in the week. Like, if you're going to miss in preseason, find your form now and miss now. Yeah. In the same sense, like people say about Dak, in practice and training, he throws interceptions or he's misreading the plays. But then when he goes out to the game, he balls out.
Yeah. There is a difference there. I see where you're coming from. There's two differences there. Obviously, the first one is that Maher hasn't really shown that he's a gamer. He has missed kicks in games, and one or two have been quite costly, which has been quite unfortunate. But I think another thing that people need to be aware of, I think overall we've probably been really spoiled over the past couple of years with Dan Bailey. I mean, whenever he had to go for a kick, I used to go and make a cup of tea or a coffee or something because you didn't need to watch it. But like you said, coming back to rugby, I've said for years, I will never understand the difference between the consistency of kicking on a weekly basis in American football in a game that a lot of games are won usually by kicks. It is that everyone knows it's a massively underrated position and something that scores points. And a lot of games weekly are decided by that sort of margin. And the difference between that and rugby kickers is astronomical. Even second string rugby kickers on any team, Ireland, any international team, Ireland, Wales, England, and any of the Southern Hemisphere teams, all the kickers are generally pretty consistent. I will never understand why someone in the NFL hasn't had the thought yet to go, do you know what, these guys are pretty consistent, let's get some of them in just to run a camp and just teach people how to kick, what they do, how do they do it differently. Because let's not forget, rugby kickers line up everywhere and take kicks from everywhere, from sideline to sideline. American football is straight down the middle. So really, from looking from it from a rugby perspective, like I do, there's no real excuse for you to miss a kick. None at all. Especially when you do that. That is all you do is kick. But yeah, there is that difference there. But the other difference as well is when you say about making mistakes in the preseason, and whilst I said that earlier, yes, you want to make mistakes in the preseason, the one position out of pretty much all of them that I'd say you can evaluate and really should be exactly the same in preseason as it is in the season is kicker, because it's kicking a ball. You either do it well or you don't. So yes and no in terms of making mistakes in preseason. I mean, he wants to build his confidence up, of course, but really, if he's not a gamer and his confidence is an issue, and he is a guy that doesn't perform that well, or it does get to him a little bit when the lights come on, which it does happen to a lot of people, then that's something that's only going to get fixed one way, and that's by doing it in a game situation where it matters, unfortunately.
When you look at these misses, they're always the same at that distance. They're always to the right. It's a drift to the right. It's like he's
same range to the right.
To the right.
Yeah.
Every time. It's almost like as if he's trying to hit the ball and draw it in, but it doesn't draw enough, or it doesn't draw in time, where you just think, just hit it straight. Hit it down the middle.
Because it's like when he kicks, it's either he's perfectly fine when it's closer to the post because the ball hasn't veered off enough.
Yeah.
When he's kicking from that middle distance, it veers off and it's gone. It's outside the upright. But when he's further back, it has time to curl back in.
It's like as if he's expecting it to draw, but it doesn't. It's weird. It's a real strange thing.
He's got a real boomerang kick. Like if you look at a lot of his long distance kicks, that's the thing of kicks, but they really do drift and then come back in. So
they cut in.
Yeah, that to me says it's a mechanics thing for me, which brings me back to the whole thing of get someone in who can kick consistently and teach him, because quarterbacks go through camps all the time. Dak's done it this season, getting down his footwork and his mechanics. I've never really heard of it, but that might just be me, but I've never really heard of it with a kicker. But I've no doubt in my mind, if you get some of the season number 10s in and get them teaching guys how to kick properly, that you will see a marked increase in terms of consistent play.
Yeah, I think so. It's just that short distance from him, like you say. You know, if you put your life on him going and getting like a 50-yarder, wouldn't you? But what about the bread and butter ones? We need to start hitting them. That's enough of our negativity. Each of you give us a good point from the game. What gave you enthusiasm or hope for the future for the Cowboys?
I'm going to get in ahead of Mike on this one. Jalen Jelks.
That's my boy.
Yes. He looked impressive to me.
Yeah.
Like he came flying off the edge, got his sack. Joe Jackson's been impressing as well. The fact Jerry was name dropped him, that's good for me. And it looks, it looks like Project Taco is about to go the same way as Project Rico. Out the door.
I don't know. No, I mean, but a couple of my positives. I mean, I don't mean to jump the gun, mate, and cut you off.
No, it's okay. I was done.
It leads into that, where I think Taco played actually pretty well. He was causing disruption on the side, and one of the missed art of a pass rush is not just getting to the quarterback; it's also creating penalties from the offensive line by holding it. And it's something that a lot of people miss. And it's not a stat that you can really work on. But he was getting holding penalties called on him. And it's an art for a pass rush. But the other one, I mean, you called my guy Jelks. So, damn you. The other guy would have been Blake Jarwin. Especially in the 2-minute drill. He was perfect. He played perfect game. I don't know. We didn't really get a chance to see him much in the red zone, but I think the way that will work is you're not going to see much of him in the red zone because, I mean, for one thing, his blocking is lacking, which is what you need. But also, I think in the red zone, Jason Witten's going to be the guy because he can get off the mark quicker as opposed to Blake. So they're my positive. The other one, John Vay as well. He had some negative drops, but then he made back up for it. And plus, he didn't get the catches, but he was wide open on a lot of the time. He was breaking open.
Yeah, you kind of stole my one, or one of my ones there with with Jarwin, because I'm big on Jarwin. I have been since last season. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's to at least in terms of being the relief valve, he is the heir apparent at the minute. Like you said, his blocking not there in any way, shape, or form. But hopefully, that's something he can start to pick up at least to a degree as time goes on. But they went out of their way to use him quite a lot. I would love to see an end zone, a lot more plays in the end zone in the season where it's both him and Witten in there. Because let's not forget, Zeke is a very good blocker when he's actually there. So don't be surprised if you see some of that because people will be expecting Zeke even in that medium distance, trying to run the ball and take it to the house. Don't be surprised if you get alternates coming off with Jarwin and Witten and then Amari or like you said, John Vay with his speed. And John Vay he dropped his first 2 balls and then the third one, that was it. And then after that, he seemed to get his foot in a bit. But he was separating pretty damn well. Playing really good in fairness to him. The one thing I was really happy about was purely the fact that there wasn't much, but Travis Frederick went in. He seemed to do okay. He got through it all. Nothing's bad, and he's out and he's on to the next. And that's all it needs to be continually moving forward until we get to week 1.
Yeah, he was needed to do. He did his job. I don't know. I was going to say, which is like a negative to a positive. Good news was Gifford's injury isn't a broken leg.
Yes.
That was
yes.
So that's good because I think he's a guy. By the looks of it, by what they're saying, is he's a guy that they're going to hold on to.
Yeah, sounds like it.
It's pretty much made the team from what most people are saying. I think they're classing it as is it his that they're classing as a high ankle sprain?
Yeah.
It's one of those annoying ones that we've had in the past with a couple of players, and they can annoyingly take a while because they're one of those sort of soft tissue damages that can take quite a while. But it's just rest, and he's done it pretty early on. So, I don't think it's a worry in terms of him making the team necessarily, which is a good thing. It would have been nice to see him in the preseason games, but he's done enough.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing that kind of stood out for me, which is surprising, because although the playbook was very vanilla, the quarterback play left a little to be desired, but I think it was noticeable that the quarterbacks were letting it rip, where I haven't seen that, certainly under Linehan. So, I'm thinking, is that the Kittner effect possibly kicking in there?
Even when Dak was his footwork has improved massively, and even when he was under a little bit of pressure, and even then when he was spotting people, he then straight away went to bounce throw. He's very much gotten into a rhythm of twice and then I'm throwing off the back foot. That seems like something that's definitely been that was very
I'll leave you guys just to talk if you want to start on the Rams game this Sunday. As 49ers, his dad may be a 49ers fan, but he is not. So.
You coming back over?
Yes, I'll come and join you. You carry on though.
All right. I guess I'll just take over the duties for now. So, all right then. So, we'll start with you, Brian. So, what players on the Rams side are you watching this week?
I'm interested to see how Darrell Henderson does, the running back.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be very high on him. All my fantasy leagues that I'm picking in, he's going very high. The Rams they've Gurley, they've I was getting my LA teams mixed up. Yeah, no, because I was thinking I was going Gurley and Austin Eckler, but Eckler's with the Chargers. So yeah. But yeah, no, Henderson's going to be an interesting one because we've no idea what the situation is with Gurley. So yeah, want to see how he does next week over the weekend.
And who you got, Rich? Who you got, Jonesy?
I really want to see the consistency from the bubble guys now for the wide receivers and for the line. A couple of them have flashed. Like we said, John Bayer was doing pretty well. He seemed to get into a rhythm. I want to see more from him. I want to see same again, basically from Jelks. I want to see. Hopefully, he'll play more because really he needs to. I want to see more from Taco, as does everyone. I'm curious as to how much more they're going to continue to use Jarwin. Because, like we said, they gave him a lot to do in the last game, a lot more than I thought he was going to get. So I'm curious as to how much. I'd love to see more, but I don't see how much more they can really do to evaluate him playing with the second and third stringers, which is a bit of a weird one to say. But I'd love to see him running some routes. If they do get into the end zone, I'd love to see him running a lot more routes and some crossing routes, or even just start running Y routes. Because if you start having him and Jason Witten running Y routes, getting separation, then people are going to start hurting pretty damn quick.
All right. And then in terms of last season, with the Rams in that playoff game, I know we're going to have to get into this and rip the Band-Aid off, as they say. So in the Rams game last year against the Cowboys, what for you went wrong? We'll start with you, Jonesy. What do you think went wrong in that game?
Ultimately, it came down to they were just better. Really, if we're honest, they were just a better team, both in terms of how they were made up, arguably, and play calling. Offensively, they finished drives. They scored touchdowns. Obviously, we struggled. That's well documented. That's the low-hanging fruit. I've never really gotten rid of the feeling that the defense didn't show up as much as they had previously. They were very, very hyped going into that game. They were very confident, and understandably so.
Well, what I got... It
just didn't seem like they rocked up.
Yeah, what I got here is, I don't know which way you want to look at this, but during the game, in the first half of that particular game, our defense was on the field for more than 40 plays.
Yeah.
And when you get into the second half of the game, where that's where you're looking to get into it, they're already tired out. You imagine 40, and they were hammering two parts of the game. They were hammering the run game and the play action. And Sean McVay's known for his play action anyway.
Yeah.
He's a head play action playbook guy, if you like. But once you get into that, that's harsh to try and come into a second half and you've already gone more than 40 plays into it. I know I was jumping the gun, but I was trying to just lead off from what you were leaving with there, Rich. But I mean, what for you, Brian? What went wrong in that particular game?
I just think we were soft up the middle. Like, I mean, the Rams knew go straight at us, go straight off D tackle, and hit us because we were soft there, and that's why I think the first pick this year was Tristan Hill. Like, I think he's a big boy, and like I watched the bowl game with UCF last year. It was effectively the only game Hill played all year for them. He came in, dominated the game. Absolutely dominated. And that's what we need. We need someone in the middle like that who's absolutely going to block it up. And no one is going to say, oh, we think the Cowboys might be soft in the middle and we're going to run straight down their throat. That's what we need.
Yeah.
That's where I want to see improvement. Because they had nearly 200 yards running up by half time. I mean, that was phenomenal. You know, and as you say, like, did 40 plays. You're generally between 60 and 70 plays a game.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, it's, the defense was worn out.
And the worst part about it is they were doing that to our defense, and their O-line was just playing out of its mind. And they're not a team known for having a good O-line, but they were dominating it. And then when you do the reverse of it, their D-line was dominating our O-line because, I mean, Zeke only managed to get 2.3 yards per play.
Yeah. And like
Zeke.
And like the bad thing was in that game, like, Connor Williams held his own against Aaron Donald. But you still had to deal with Ndamukong Suh. It was a monstrous game. So, you know, like, I think that kind of feeds into what Rich has been saying all season is we're gonna have Travis Frederick back.
Yeah.
No one's gonna get the better of Travis Frederick. Like Joe Looney was a great replacement last year, but he's not Travis Frederick.
Yeah.
And that's where we're gonna improve.
Yeah, he held his own. I agree with you. They were definitely tired, and you could definitely see that even halfway through the second half of that game. By the end of the third game, they could have grabbed it. But they generally, like you said, their O-line played out of their mind. The Rams, to me, just looked like they wanted that a lot more than the Cowboys did. Which sucked to say, because coming into it, the defense from the start were just pounding and pounding and pounding. Especially everything after that Saints game, their confidence was up there. They could take anyone. And I don't even say it was the play action, because they were never. There were a couple of plays where quite a lot of plays where they burst out, but there were a lot of plays where they were quite on it, but they just always seemed very deflated with it. They just didn't seem themselves to me. I don't think that was down to scheme. They were definitely out-schemed, the Cowboys were, but I don't think from looking at giving it the eyeball test, they were out-schemed that much. They definitely didn't want it, to me, looking at it as much as the Rams.
When you say in terms, mind you, of being out-schemed, you've got to remember that, they were out-schemed, but the Rams also had 2 weeks to come up with a scheme.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. You know, and as they always say in any professional sport, preparation is everything. You know, preparation is piss poor performance, as they say.
Of course, but like I said, it's something it's been in the back of my mind ever since I watched that game, and it's been nagging the back of my mind because I'm just repeating myself now. I'm a broken record, but like I said, their confidence was up there, and then in that game, it just looked like from start to finish, they weren't in it as much.
Yeah.
It's just more prepared is more than anything I can say. But just to put you in it, Law, we just finished with what went wrong in that game. So we're on to Super Bowl contenders, the Rams. I don't know if you want to take over from there, mate.
Yeah, so do we think that the Rams will be looking to, match what they did last year again? Obviously, they're in it's a tough division that they're in. I mean, the Seahawks aren't what they once were. The Niners suck. Sorry, Sam. Cardinals suck. So they should should get through, that division.
Yeah, realistically, you got to look Pats, Rams, Saints, just straight off the bat, just muscle memory. They're going to be up there this season.
Yeah.
They're not something that has gone awry to a very, very big degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Certainly the money they spent, they went all in, didn't they, last year, essentially, with the players that they signed up. So surely it's got to be same again.
Go on, Brian, you go.
Haven't they lost Andrew Whitworth? Isn't he gone?
Did he retire?
No, I think they lost him in free agency. So I'd be interested to see what happens there.
Yeah.
Because he did protect that left side well for Goff. So I'd be interested to see how that goes if the same level of performance is there. But I'm going to throw a sneaky name into the mix for contenders. Colts.
Yeah.
Like the O-line is getting better. Quentin Nelson's an absolute beast. What a boy. And Andrew Luck is Andrew Luck.
I think they surprised everyone last year, didn't they? So.
Yeah. Now maybe it's just a case that no one was counting on them and they sprung a surprise and maybe they might have a sophomore slump, so to speak. But I think they'll be an interesting proposition.
And it was funny with it. One of the ones. You know what I mean? They've gone from paper bag offensive to not one of the best. On paper, one of the best, if things go right, they could have a nice life. Andrew Whitworth's still a left tackle.
Andrew Whitworth is still there. He's playing out his last season there. So literally he's playing out his contract and that's it. He's retiring after that.
Oh, okay.
In terms of Super Bowl contenders, I say as long as Sean McVay is calling the plays, they will always be a Super Bowl contender. Like people say, about Aaron Donald being the best defensive tackle. Yeah, top players in the NFL. Is Jared Goff one of the best quarterbacks in the league?
No.
No way.
No, I'm not convinced, right?
Not even.
But in terms of, and you've seen it, right, in the Super Bowl, right, that their best player, the Rams' best player, if you like, is Sean McVay, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen it in the Super Bowl that Bill Belichick, his way of winning a game is you take away their best player. And what he did in that Super Bowl, he took away Sean McVay. And that won that Super Bowl. They've done it by taking away Sean McVay, by giving him an incorrect look on pre-snap reads and then changing it. So Sean McVay didn't have time to tell Jared Goff the adjustment he needed to make. And if you watch it, and that's how they won that.
Yeah.
And everyone,
he's good against young quarterbacks.
Yeah, but that goes back to your point, as you said a few minutes ago, Mike. You give someone 2 weeks to prepare. You give Bill Belichick 2 weeks to prepare. He'll beat you every day of the week.
Yeah, you give Bill Belichick 2 weeks, you're fucked. I don't care who you are.
Yeah,
it's true.
Unless you're Eli Manning.
Not to upset the UK Giants, but we're going to upset you today.
Like every day, really.
There we go. But
speaking of Mr. McVay, Jerry Jones has been hunting for his very own Sean McVay for a while now. Sean McVay wasn't on the scene when we got Jason Garrett, but Garrett was meant to be that man. Now there's talk that Jerry wants Kellen Moore to be that guy. Do we think he can be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the simple answer.
Actually.
Yeah, I think the fact that everything's coming out from the players saying, look, we're getting the opportunity to get the deep ball. We're going at a college style system. like what the players are saying, and it's not just the quarterbacks, it's the wide receivers, it's the running backs, it's everyone is saying it. Do you know? Yeah. Like if Travis Frederick is saying he likes what he's seeing, like Travis is, we all know he's the most intelligent guy on the O-line. If he's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing I realized the other day after watching the game, and it actually makes me chuckle a bit after all the vitriol that's come out after he left, is now we're seeing the ball being spread out and how much fun people are having and how much people are enjoying it and how much the ball is getting spread out in terms of, like you said, with receivers especially. How much must that piss off Cole Beasley after all this shit he's thrown out since he's left? Because I don't care what he says. I bet you he knows. I bet you he's noticed, and I bet it pisses him off. It's like, God damn, as soon as I leave, they start spreading it out. Oh,
get hot sauce out. Yeah.
Put the sauce away, son. You don't need that. We're going to go give that to someone else this season.
Yeah. And there's not going to be much sauce in Buffalo this year with Josh Allen letting rip.
Yeah.
That guy can't throw a short ball.
No. Do you know, right? I was talking to a mate of mine in the week, and I was looking at some advanced stats. Josh Allen, do you know what his QBR is on passes of 7 yards or less? Have a guess.
Oh, it's in the toilet. It's something like 15%.
15?
26.
Wow. I think even I could throw better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
here's an ironic thing, right? Here's an ironic thing. If you took the ball from a snap and took a knee, right, you get a higher number than 26. That's a fact. That is a fact. So basically, what they were saying is, if you had a ball and you're going to throw it 7 yards or less, take a knee. Have a better day.
Top 10 of the day for quarterbacks for Mike Pollard, and I'm not surprised he knows that stat.
and you know, in fairness, right, to UK Buffalo Bills, and Rick Jonesy will talk to this, like they talk to us a lot. They're some nice guys.
Really nice.
Really nice. And ironically, UK Giants as well. And like they've asked us about, you know, that situation, and it's like, I don't know how to put this nicely. Josh Allen cannot pass the short ball, and Cole Beasley plays in the short game 10 yards or less.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you let them down nicely? I suppose.
I don't know. They're Bills fans, aren't they? They must be prepared for awfulness.
They're used to suffering.
Yeah.
So a little bit of I digress, but a bit of a breaking news, just because I can. Mr. Quinn, Robert Quinn, has just spoken out for the first time since his suspension, and he's basically said, "This is just life. This is nothing." I mean, he said more than that, but I don't think he really needed to. But he's basically just saying, like, look, I've dealt with worse in my life. This isn't really that much. It's a couple of games and a messed up wrist. I'll kind of deal with it. It either makes you better or it doesn't. It's just down to the person. So I'm like, yeah, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I translate that still as good or as a dick, but yeah.
Well, anyone,
even Ruben agrees with that one.
Yeah. As soon as you just hear the name, it's like.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait some questions then from the mailbag, Law?
Go on then.
Have we got other questions?
I got one from our number one fan,
Paul Healy.
Big
Oh.
Ken.
Okay, Ken.
You know,
Come on, then.
Ken is our biggest fan. He's always talking with us.
Wait a second. Is Ken Paul Healy?
Don't speak badly about Ken.
Ken is going to be listening to this. I
He's
think
Welsh Cowboys now.
Yeah. Give us all. He needs to put one in the post. Those cigars.
Flat and Paul Healy.
I've always got a stogie on the go. Anyway, right? Do you want me to check it out? And I know I'm stealing the light from you, Law. I'm sorry.
No, go for it. I didn't have this question, so go for
it. Right, okay. So Ken is saying, right, is there a way that 2 out of these 3, right, make it? So he says Wilson, so I'm thinking Cedric Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah. John V. Johnson and David. So he's talking Reggie. So it's the 3 wide receivers, right? Is there a way out of 2 out of these 3, Wilson, Davis, and Johnson, can make the final 53?
No.
I think yes, if they decide to cut Tavon. Just a bit of wild card.
That's a very clever answer. I like that one, lads.
Yeah,
I'm not predicting that they will cut Tavon, but if they went down that route, I could see them taking.
I don't see it happening. I see them keeping Tavon, like you said, but you've already got your core 4 there. You've got Tavon, Amari, Cobb, and who have I just gone completely? Gallup. Wow. As much as I love seeing Gallup, I've gone blank on him anyway. You got those 4. You then got 2 spots. We've already said one of them's taken up with Cedric Wilson. So,
are we cutting Noah Brown as well?
No, Brown's got to stay.
Exactly.
So then you're looking at a 7th receiver.
Which realistically is that going to happen when you got depth at other positions as well?
What about this then? So what if Reggie Davis stays on special teams, which we seen in last week?
That's the only thing that can really do it. But again, you've got to lose. You've still got to lose someone somewhere, because the potential there really is. I don't think him doing that would outweigh potential of other people. I mean, he's definitely, for me, he's down the roster unless he makes a big step. But I mean, when you get to that point, your 5th, 6th receiver, I mean, you've got to contribute on special teams, but with the depth they've got of just pure, what looks like potentially half decent looking young players at positions outside of having to do that extra stuff to make the roster. I mean, we're already realistically not going to have a 3rd quarterback. Realistically. Mainly because of that. I don't see them carrying a 7th wide receiver. I don't see them losing someone else, and I don't see them losing out on one of the other wide receivers purely to have someone that's better at special teams. I mean, you've already got Tavon Austin. Just go.
Like, who is going to be our kick and punt returner this year? Is it going to be Tavon? Is it going to be Tony Pollard?
I don't know. Tony did do well in returns, but when you look at week 1, look at the had a range of guys back there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's a good question. I don't know, if I'm honest with you. In that respect, like, I'd like to say I know the answers, but in that term, I can't really say.
And we had Jordan Lewis do it as well.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
You know, I mean, would you put Cobb in there as well?
No.
Probably not now.
Not would have been your 3rd choice receiver at the minute.
You know, like, as well, I got another one for you. You know, you had like struggling last week. Based off what he was doing, he was talking earlier, you know, saying that he was struggling to process and what have you, but his O-line. Mitch Hyatt dropped the ball big time. He was getting beat on every play. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, he was.
So, like, I know it's gutting to say, but do you think he's gone?
No. Like,
I know we're light at O-line, but I reckon he's got to be. Like, he was a big bag.
Everything I read before the weekend was we were definitely keeping Mitch Hyatt. That, you know, he could fill in at guard this year with the potential for him to switch out to tackle if needed. But he had an absolutely terrible game at the weekend. but we do have to sort out the O-line, because we've our 5 starters, we've Cam Fleming, you've Joe Looney, you've Suafilo, and then you've got to make your decisions then who's next up. I think Hyatt will survive. If not the 53, he'll definitely go to the practice squad.
Yeah.
They've guaranteed him more money than most of the rookie class. So they've got
We did that with Rico, though, didn't we?
True, Lauren, very true.
Who would you rather keep at this moment, based off what you've seen, right? Would you rather keep as we say, would you rather keep Hire or would you keep Jake Campo?
Campo was definitely the better.
But do we go off
Campo.
of that game? Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bad game. If I'd say, ask me again after the dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
He was playing third stringers and getting beat.
Yeah. It's true.
It's the very first game of the preseason. If he's consistently bad in 2 and 3, then I think, despite like what Brian has said, they were quite high on him before. If he's not transitioning through the games, then yes, he is obviously definitely in very big risk of going. But if it's one-off game and he plays okay in the second one, and he plays better in the third one, then I think he'll probably make it.
Yeah, I agree.
And another name I forgot to mention, of course, is Conor McGovern, who we've seen we've seen little to nothing of yet. So we got to make some choices there at O-line.
Yeah.
And I tell you, somebody who's made a tricky decision was Jordan Lewis.
Oh yeah,
that guy is like anti-Chris Richard mold, but what he did in that last game, I mean, he was perfect.
So happy. I've been wanting to see more of Jordan Lewis ever since we drafted him, because he can be a fucking baller, but he hasn't fitted in. But yeah, he's playing pretty perfectly in terms of to make the squad, or to at least give himself a chance to do it. To give himself in with a shout. So yeah, I'd love to see more of that.
Is it contract year for Anthony Brown?
It's contract year after this year, yeah.
So that'll be interesting because, for me, Jordan Lewis should have been hitting Anthony Brown out of the ballpark last year. But obviously he's not in the mould for Richard. Brown actually played really well. So it'll be interesting to see now.
Yeah.
Can he keep up what he's done in pre-season?
It felt like he wasn't really given much of a chance for me. Yeah. But like you said, if he doesn't fit the mould and Anthony Brown's playing well, you don't. Yeah.
I mean, he was one of my favourite draftees from the year before, but we just didn't get to see him. So
yeah.
He was fine that year, but then when Chris Richard kicked in, it's because he's not that guy that Richard looked at. But if he keeps consistently performing, there's no way he can be overlooked.
Yeah, they can't ignore that.
They have to find a way to.
Yeah, but then of course, you come back to the situation where you said before of, okay, well, if you want to keep one extra of the wide receivers, you can let Jordan Lewis go if he's playing well.
I know. Mm-hmm. That was the point I was coming back to. Yeah. If you're going to go to the 7 guys, so you 7 wide receivers, so you got that guy on the kick returns, like we were saying, then you're going to have to lose a guy, and the only guy he's got to be a corner or defensive back. So that means that somebody like Jordan or Noah is the guy that goes.
And we've already said Jordan can do special teams.
Yeah.
He can. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So, lucky for us, we're not the guys that got to make that decision.
True that, yeah. Like I said earlier on, if I had to make the decisions and I was getting paid to, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be living it.
Very true. So I think that we'll wrap it up there. If you keep on listening in, guys, we've got the interview with Bryan Broaddus coming up. So thank you again, Brian, for dropping in with us earlier. And we pre-recorded it. Thank you again to my co-host Mike, Rich, and Brian for joining us, or Brian Heath, or Heath Gaynor, or whatever you want to call him. And we'll be back with you next week talking all things Cowboys. Do get in touch via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are everywhere. Tell your friends, share the story. Peace out.
Take care.
Hi guys, as promised, we are now joined by former NFL scout and the MVP of DallasCowboys.com, Mr. Bryan Broaddus. Hello, sir.
Doing well, guys. Thank you so much. It's so nice. I think the last time I was with you guys was right before the draft in 2018. So it's nice to be back with you guys again. I enjoy my friendship with everyone there, and I appreciate you guys wanting to have me on again.
Yes, we're delighted to have you on with us. I know everyone in the UK is big fans of all the shows on DallasCowboys.com. So
thank you.
Very excited. I think really there's probably there's only one place we can start in Cowboys world at the moment. Yesterday, there's some conflicting news, but it sounds like Dak's rejected a contract. Rumours were it was 30 million. He's rejected it. Rumours he wants 40 million. I'm guessing, we'll probably end up somewhere in the middle, will we? Or just relieve the fans. Tell us where we're at.
Well, it's if you think that maybe that we would end up in the middle, but I think both sides and talking to some people out here on the West Coast this morning, there's some truth to both sides of this. Dak is looking for a number close to 40. I don't know if that's really necessarily the case. I think that he's looking more for a number between like where really Russell Wilson's at 35. I think that's where they would like to start. I think his group would like to have an opportunity. Maybe they want to get over $30 million, guys. That's the elite number to them. So that, I think they would feel pretty good about it. If they started more at 35, what they did, and now the Cowboys are saying, now wait a minute, okay, we're thinking more of maybe 30, and so there's two reports out there. I think they're both very accurate. Are the numbers exactly right? No, but I think that we've seen Cowboys. They know they want to get their done. But we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's affected Dak in the way he's practicing. And he had a really good day yesterday. He seems very focused on what's going on. So hopefully they'll get this thing done. But I also know this for a fact, guys. If they can't get this deal done, they are comfortable letting him play this year out and then go for the franchise tag. They're not shy about that at all. Stephen Jones has been pretty adamant about that. And if that's the case, that franchise tag is a heck of a lot less than paying him $35 million a year. And let's be honest too, though, there's a potential to coach there too. If things don't work out for the team, you're going to have a new coach. And so if that's the case, then you have a quarterback you're tied to 5 or 6 years if the new coach does not see that's. But I think the next coach that gets this job is going to have to agree at Dak Prescott's his quarterback. Now, would a coach come in with that thought? They might not be able to get the guy they want if that's not right.
I do apologise. I am parenting solo today, hence the conversation.
I deal with whiny media all the time, and it's no good. Awesome to hear a new little voice there, for sure.
I think what you said there was interesting, because there seem to be fans that are, popping out of nowhere saying, "Oh, now you need to trade Dak, or you need to cut him, or you need to do this," and it seems ludicrous. We've still got 2 years, and like you say, the Cowboys do seem comfortable to be able to tell him to go out and play for it.
Yeah, I think that I think Stephen Jones. I think knowing what I know when working for the family as long as I have, I think it's Stephen Jones is a more of a hard line guy as compared to his father. I think his father is a little more understanding of the players, but Stephen Jones is also in a difficult situation. You guys document this yourself, and you understand it. If he caves in on Dak or Zeke or Amari or those guys, then he's got 6, 7 other guys that he's going to have to deal with, and that's the problem with maybe the curse of this team drafting so well is the fact that they've got the opportunity. They're going to have to sign players. This is not a bad roster. This is a deep roster. So if you cave on one group, now you're going to have to cave on another and another and another, and then that gets really, really expensive to this football team.
Yeah, that is a very, very dangerous precedent to set.
Absolutely.
Really, especially when you've already got, like you said earlier on Talking Cowboys, they're already in a stare-off with Ezekiel Elliott's team. And everyone else further down, that would be very dangerous. They can't afford to fold in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Talking of Zeke, we had a question come in from Owen. Do you think he plays week 1?
I think I've heard conflicting reports about things, and I was under the impression that Ezekiel Elliott needed the money initially. I didn't, I'd heard the people that he can't leave game checks on the table. And then I talked to somebody within the organization. They said, no, Zeke is fine with that. His money is taken care of. And then somebody else came back to me and said, no, there's trouble there. So I've got two people telling me he has money issues, and I have one person telling me, no, don't worry about that. So I think there's those conflicting reports. I do not think that Ezekiel Elliott wants to leave six figures every Tuesday on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now he might do it out of principle. He might do what we saw with Emmitt Smith in the early 90s, where all of a sudden you miss a game, you miss the Giants game, and then for some crazy reason you lose that game. Then you turn around and you lose a game in Washington. I mean, that would be devastating to the Cowboys. I mean, that's two division games that you were to lose, and I don't think everybody you talk to is really okay with what Zeke's doing right now until it turns into he's missing games, and then when it turns into missing games, well, then you're going to have his own teammates that are going to be a little bit disappointed by that whole thing. So, my gut feeling is that he will play in Week 1. I would say I'm probably 75%, 80% that's going to happen. But then again, he might do this on principle and say, you know what, I've sat out this far. I'm going to show you that you guys cannot play games without me and have success. And so I think that's a very, very dangerous thing we're looking at. So I want to believe that he has money, but I've had people that I really, really trust tell me he doesn't. And if he's missing game checks, then that's a pretty serious thing.
In terms of that, then, with, as you said, obviously, if he starts missing games, you then go into the situation of his teammates and how they feel towards him.
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
as you said, those first two games, they are critical, obviously, for this division. On top of out of all of them, really, probably. Where do you sort of think he will draw the line, if at all, if it does get to that point, if he does go down the Smith route in terms of, on one hand, you've got the money. Obviously, he wants his money. He's a running back. He needs to get his money as much as he can, as soon as he can, obviously, for his shelf life. But then, obviously, he's sacrificing potentially one of, or at least a very, very, very good Cowboys roster, one of the best they've had in quite a while. So where do you think he'll draw the line in terms of, well, I want my money, but I also want to try and go the whole hog. I want to go the whole way. I want to go and try and get a ring. Do you think if he holds out one game, he'll be like, nah, that's it? Because I think as soon as Stephen Jones gets involved and gets in his ear, like with Tank, that's going to be it. The deal's going to be done very quick. And I don't see Stephen not going up to his house and saying, like, right, come on, we've got to get this done. We've got to go win the Super Bowl.
It's very similar to what we saw with DeMarcus Lawrence, that type of situation where, when Stephen and DeMarcus got on the phone, then they were able to hammer things out. I think that, to me, that in looking at this, the teammates will be, when he starts, if this thing gets to the Giants week and he's not playing, then I think you'll see guys privately talk to Mickey Spagnuolo or Bryan Broaddus and say, hey, listen, this is total rubbish, and then we can't have this, and and I think that's where it sets a dangerous. They're okay with guys going to get the money, but okay, why are you costing me an opportunity? Why are you costing me an opportunity for a potential ring? I don't have any left. So to me, that's where I think this is a very, very dangerous situation. That if it does turn into season, could his teammates turn on him quickly? Like I say, right now everybody's good. In 3 weeks' time, I can't promise you that everything's going to be good. If in fact, and what I'm hearing right now, that's the contract that seems to be the furthest away from them extending. To me, it's two people sitting in a room staring at each other, and they're betting that Ezekiel is not going to miss game checks. That's what they're really betting on.
Yeah. So in terms of Zeke missing time, it's one of the questions we had. Which person does it affect more? Does it affect Dak or Amari more?
Yeah, I think it's Dak. Dak. I think Dak Prescott. I think the one thing, I know what Ezekiel Elliott is. I know what Amari Cooper is. I know that Dak Prescott. Say you take out Tyron Smith, you take out Zach Martin, you take out all these guys, take out Amari Cooper, take out all things. They proved that receiver by committee doesn't work, but also try and take 2,000 yards out of this offense when you talk about rushing and receiving. Dak's not going to make up 2,000 yards. He's not. And I think it affects him the most, because I feel like that maybe they could find ways to take away Amari Cooper if there's no running game. But that will affect Dak, and so I think Dak needs players around him, and I think that if you want to say, oh, I don't see him being a Tom Brady or Drew Brees or an Aaron Rodgers or those types of guys at this point in time. Everybody needs players. Some of those guys don't need as many players, but I think this guy really relies on the guys around him. I really, really do. Yeah.
I think that's a fair comment. Obviously, we've brought back Jason Witten to be one of those guys that Dak can rely on. We've had a question from Brandon. He says, do you see the Cowboys running a lot more two tight end sets to try and help with Jarwin's progression?
Yeah, I think they're really excited about Jarwin and what he's been able to do. It's funny, Jason had a really good day practicing, and Dak found him a couple of different times, had him in the one-on-one compete period. I wrote about it on Scout's Eye. I'm sure everybody over there's read it or seen it. But they did some really good things. They're continuing to do things. I think that, to me, it's all about Jason Witten starting or anything like that. I think they really want to get Blake Jarwin involved more. And if it means starting him in 12 personnel and stuff like that, or excuse me, in 11 personnel and then coming in with Witten on the 12 personnel stuff, because right now Blake Jarwin is not a good enough blocker. And right now Schultz is not a good enough blocker. And that's a problem for them right now when it comes to running the football. They have to have, and I'm worried about how beat up Jason Witten is going to get this year, having to be a blocker. So I think that we're going to see some more two tight end stuff. Maybe have Witten on the front side and Jarwin on the back side. But if Jarwin's going to be the guy that's going to be the downfield guy, I think Witten is going to be more the underneath intermediate guy, and then also see him as the blocker. But they do not have a tight end on this roster that is a dominant blocker.
Yeah. Do you think they'll do that more? Just generally moving the sticks, or when they get to the end zone, or do you think it'll be a bit of a switch? Because they went out of their way to me to use Jarwin a lot the other night.
Right. Yeah. I think it's more about. I think Witten is going to be the guy that's 18 yards in, and then even he had a nice play in the red zone yesterday where Dak tried to fit it in. Jordan Lewis made a good break on the ball, but Witten was open. I mean, Witten was open. Dak just came late. So I think that Witten will be that guy that's going to be 18 yards in, and as they get in the open field to try and make plays, so with the bootleg, all of a sudden the deep crossing route, I think that's where you're going to see more from Jarwin than you will really from Witten.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I mean, our show as well is, as it turns out, is reaching Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
So we got a question from Andy, which is quite relevant after the preseason game. Should the Cowboys go out and get a veteran quarterback after seeing the worries, with White, and obviously, we've seen with the second some good work there. But do you think that, given the worries that are there, should they go? Because obviously there are people just like Andy here who's not confident that if that goes down, the talent isn't there to back them up.
Yeah, I think they're okay right now. They're starting to feel better about what Cooper Rush in the OTAs was not good. Mike White hasn't really been good. I think they're okay with Cooper Rush being the backup quarterback. I don't see them carrying three quarterbacks. I think that it'll be interesting. Even if they expose Mike White, he could very well get claimed. But Mike White has even come out and said, "Hey, I'm a better player than what I've shown." I mean, I like to be a better player, but he's just not there yet. So I think that they're okay with what they've seen with Cooper Rush. I think they continue to work with Cooper Rush. So if they go with just two quarterbacks, it's going to be Cooper Rush, and then they're going to and then they'll keep an eye. Probably if they could get Mike White to the practice squad, I think that's what they'll do. But I don't see them going after a McCown or somebody like that. If in fact that unless something happens injury wise to Dak, I just don't see them doing it.
Yeah. Following on in a way, or sort of digressing a bit in terms of bringing in veterans. I was listening to the show on the way home to Talking Cowboys, so we kind of answered it a bit there. But when do you see them, if at all, bringing in a veteran kicker behind Maher? Because obviously there are some potential concerns there. I mean, it
Yeah,
baffles me the difference between kickers in terms of the consistency between American football and rugby. And I don't want to draw that age-old comparison, but the kicking is just there is a world of difference, and very much it is a confidence-driven thing. So I don't see, like you guys said earlier, I don't see the point in doing it now out in front of everyone, making a show of it. Do it later on when you get back to the start. But if you are going to bring in someone, who do you bring in?
Yeah, I even talked to Philip Tanner, who works with special teams on the field yesterday. And I asked Philip, I said, have you got a short list of kickers that you guys are dealing with? And he said, to be honest with you, that's more of a pro personnel stuff. So, yeah, I need to find out who they've got on their list if they have. I made that statement this morning on Talking Cowboys, knowing damn good and well that they're not going to have a circus out here with a bunch of guys kicking on. They're just not going to do it. They're going to get into a controlled environment. They're going to be away from the media. They're going to probably bring in 5 or 6 guys and then see what happens. They did it before they even found Dan Bailey. They did the same thing at AT&T Stadium and had a big kicking derby. And then they were going to get rid of Dan Bailey, and they ended up keeping him. So I in talking to Philip, he was pretty adamant. He goes, "Hey, listen, I'm letting the pro guys handle that. The pro scouting department, if they've got a list of guys they want to submit. But at this point in time," he goes, "I can't tell you who's kicking in this league, who we would bring in, who's on the street." So I think that's one of the things when they all get back together at the Star, we'll figure out who those workouts will be, because I think they will bring in a guy. I think they just want to know that if something were to happen, what direction do they need to go? And to get their emergency board, they could bring in 5 guys and then rank them and say, okay, from 1 to 5, we're going to go right now with Maher. And then, okay, if something happens, okay, this is guy 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think that's what they're going to figure out here when we get back here next week.
Do you think Matt Bryant could be one of them?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I haven't asked about Bryant. I know for a fact, just talking to other people, that say that if that Dan Bailey does get released, that they would not be interested in bringing Dan Bailey back. I know that. Yeah.
I mean, the issue, of course, with Matt Bryant is he can't kick off. So, I mean, that's the reason why he's not on any roster.
Yeah, that's exactly. And he gets on the bench with a heating pad on his back, while he's waiting to kick. It's been problematic for him, his back and stuff. Yeah. But, it's but if you had to have him for 1 game or 2 games, but for 16 games, that might not necessarily be the best thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I've got a sneaky one here from another guy from Dallas, Sam. He's saying, with the new OC, Kellen Moore, he's hoping, I think, like a lot of people out there, to see more creativity. So with that being said, how do you see, and what sort of touches do you expect from players like Pollard and Tavon Austin?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great question because, you didn't see the creativity in the preseason game, which is understandable. They're not going to show anything. But the things that, if you kind of follow me on Scout's Eye, every once in a while, I'll say something to practice that I see. Like yesterday, he threw a nice little delay pass to Witten, with blocking. So he's doing things with personnel groups I think is really cool. He's doing stuff with with bunch formation. If you watch the Rams play, he's stealing some Ram ideas. He stole a couple ideas from the Packers to get Randall Cobb going a little bit on some screen stuff. So, I think that we're seeing different packages with those guys. Yeah. I think we're seeing a different distribution than what we saw. A distribution being bunch formation, trips receivers over. Different things of trying to do 2 tight end, 12 personnel stuff. Okay, we're giving a different look here or there. I think there are going to be some things that I think his game plan will have wrinkles to it. I really, really do. I think there'll be 2 or 3 things he wants to go to in a game or get to that he feels like he can take advantage of this match. And I don't think we saw that nearly enough from Scott Linehan. I just don't. And there's a reason why. But I'm banking that this is going to work out the right way. Even though a first-time play caller, he knows he has to do things to get the ball in guys' hands, whether it's Pollard, Elliott, Witten, Cooper, Gallup, whoever he has to do it, he's got to find a way to get it
done. Nice. In terms of Pollard, then, obviously Jerry came out after the game and said, I think it was after the game, and said he was fairly confident that Pollard could at least in part carry the load of Ezekiel Elliott if we do get to that point. How confident, like blocking aside, how confident are you in Pollard's abilities from what you've seen so far that he could go and carry at least a portion of that load?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. I think you want to play at Memphis. Between him and Henderson, they handed the ball and did some tough running, and I think that's important. When you start talking about, okay, this guy's just not a gadget player. This guy is a legitimate back in mind. Now, he might not have the height that you would like ideally, but there's some thickness to him. There's some explosiveness to him. There's some quickness to him. There's some ability to pick and slide and see the hole and move. Yeah, but if they had to start the game tomorrow and it's no Ezekiel Elliott, I think they would start Alfred Morris. I really do. I think they would trust Alfred Morris to go in there, do the job, and then if they had to bring Pollard in on 2, 3, 4 different plays, maybe they have some ideas, some plans for him. But yeah, I don't think he couldn't carry the load, but I do know though I would rather have him be as fresh as possible for as many loose plays that they can get out of him in those explosive plays. And if he gets banged up during a game, then maybe that takes away some of that effectiveness. And I think that's why they would stick with a guy like Alfred Morris in that situation.
Okay. Do you want to take one?
Yep. So we had a good question from Dan Brown. What position group do you think has the most room to grow?
That's a great question because the quarterbacks have not looked particularly great, the backups. So that's a group that could grow. Because I think Mike White's better, and I think that there's some things that I'm seeing from Cooper Rush. The that linebacker group, the groups that look really good, the linebackers look really good. The secondary, as far as the corners, have looked really, really good. The defensive line has got a lot of young guys on there too that they need to get. The Ricky Walkers and the Tristan Hills and those guys have all been really, have shown up in these practices and stuff. But I think that if I had to say, quarterback's better. I'm putting Dak in that group, but he could be better. Absolutely, he could be better. But I will say that I think that the backups have the ability to be better than what they're doing.
Okay. There's a report as well, very quickly, if you want to touch on it, that the Amari Cooper injury to his heel is a lot more than what's been led on. Is that true? Is there any truth in that?
Mickey got it. Mickey was on it. We're talking with the training staff about it, and it's more of a ligament problem than it is an actual bruise. He hasn't practiced for going on 10 days now, but they're cautious about it. They think it's going to be okay, but. It's all this is more about treatment. That's the whole idea. Try and treat the injury. Try and get it rested. Try and get it calmed down. So is it anything massively extensive that's going to keep him out for games? I don't think so. They've talked about even having it back here soon. But then again, we've only got 2 more days out here. He's not probably going to play in the game. Get it calmed down. Let him have another rest week. And then when we get back next Monday at the Star and start practicing, then that's, I think, where you'll see him be more involved and stuff like that. But it seems like it's more of a ligament issue than it is a bruise, which was initially reported. Yeah.
That's right,
the silver lining of it all is that it gives more opportunity, obviously, to the other guys further down the roster. There's people like John Baer, and we're able to evaluate them more purely because they get more snaps.
Yeah, John Baer got hurt yesterday. He hurt his shoulder, so we need to see how extensive, if he practices today or not. But, it's a shame Cedric Wilson got dinged up a little bit because Cedric Wilson had a really nice game. But that gives some other guys opportunity. Dice, Gallup, those guys have all, some guys have stepped up, but some of these guys down the line need to step up a little bit more. That there's no question of that.
Yeah. Okay. We got a cheeky one that came out literally about in the last hour. So to you, which Wilson is most likely to make the 53? So Donovan Wilson, or like you say,
or Cedric Wilson.
Yeah.
You know what? I would not be surprised if both made this roster. And I think the guy that's in a little bit of trouble at safety right now, because they absolutely love Thompson. If you talk to the coaching staff, it's just like, I'm saying, okay, great. I understand you like him. But they talk about his ability to play a couple of positions back there. They think he's a really good special teams player. They think he can cover. But the guy that might be in a little bit of trouble is Kayvon Frazier. That might be the one that if they just go with the 4, then we'll see we'll see them. That maybe that Donovan Wilson takes over for Kayvon Frazier's spot if they keep Thompson as the other safety. Is what they might do.
In my opinion, the Cowboys should be filled with more Aggies players.
That is. If you'd said LSU guys, I would have understood that.
Yeah.
Back to Texas A&M, I have to. As they say, I respect the right honorable the gentleman from as the Parliament. I love that Prime Minister's questions. With all due respect, the right honorable. And my sword just can't quite reach you right now.
That's why I'm saying it now. I know I'm safe where I am.
Yeah.
The gentleman needs to sit down. Yeah. Here.
I don't know if the Aggies. I know we've moved on to college football, quite quickly, but I don't know if the Aggies and LSU can survive another game of going into 5 overtimes.
I was at that game. That was awful. It was awful for LSU.
Well, what a way to end the year, mind.
Yeah, exactly right. So.
Do you want to go for one more question? Or...
Yeah, I've got one more question for you guys. You guys have me today for sure.
I'll let you guys wrap up. I do apologise.
The one that came up twice, which is quite a good question, I think, is that with Travis Frederick being back on the field at preseason, which is great to see, by the way. What's the likelihood that he is the official starter week 1 against the Giants?
Yeah, I think Travis will be the starter week 1. But Travis is learning how to play football again, which is funny to say about an All-Pro. But Travis is in the where Travis lost, or this disease affected him was with motor skills, was with second level blocks. My angle, I've got to get here quicker. I've got to take a step and all that. Travis is reteaching himself how to play football, which is funny to say, but it's the truth. And I think that's where have there been some good moments? Yeah. Have there been some moments where Travis Frederick looks at himself and starts laughing and goes, "What the hell am I doing?" But yeah, I think that to me that we're seeing some improvement there. Every day he's getting a little bit better. And is he going to be Travis Frederick All-Pro week 1? I don't think so. But could, as the season wears on, with Connor Williams playing better, with Zach Martin being next to him, he's got 2 really good guys that can kind of help him along if things don't exactly work out all that well.
Okay. Yeah. All right then. Well, I think that as as we said, that was the last question. So we'll wrap that up for you. Yeah. But Brian, thank you very much for coming on and joining us. Like I say, I know your time is precious and we appreciate it. And I hope that we can get you on again in the future, mate.
I will be happy to come on. Anytime you guys want me to come on, I'll be happy to. I enjoy being with you guys. I love all my brothers and sisters overseas. So you guys keep fighting the good fight over there, and I'll be back with you guys real soon. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and thanks for also checking us out on DallasCowboys.com stuff. We really appreciate what you guys do.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you for your time, mate.
Take care. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye now.